It feels like just yesterday, generative AI was this super niche term, something you'd only hear about in like a research lab. But today, it's exploded. It's one of the most powerful, fastest moving technologies on the entire planet. And it feels like it's about to upend whole industries, from how we create art to how we get customer service. So what is this stuff really, and how is it already changing our world?
All right, so here's our game plan. We're going to cut right through the hype to figure out what this technology actually is. Then, we'll take a peek under the hood, inside the AI's brain, to see how it learns. After that, we'll look at the revolution that's already happening at work, and we've got the data to prove it. And finally, we'll get real about the incredible promise versus the very serious peril.
Okay, first things first. Let's get past all the buzzwords and headlines. To really get a handle on where this is all going, we need a clear, simple definition of what it is we're even talking about.
So what is generative AI? I mean, for real, it's not the all-knowing, world-conquering machine you see in the sci-fi movies. But honestly, what it can do sometimes feels just as magical.
At its very core, it's a kind of AI that doesn't just analyze or sort information that's already there. Nope. It makes something brand new. It can write a song, dream up a picture, compose a speech, or even create totally new data that looks like it came from the real world. And this difference is absolutely key. For years, most of the AI we all used was what you'd call discriminative. Think of it like a judge. It looks at data and makes a decision. Is this picture a cat or a dog? Is this email spam or not? But generative AI, that's the artist. It doesn't just label what it sees, it builds. It learns the secret patterns inside data so well that it can create something that has literally never existed before.
Okay, so now that we know what it is, the next big question is how, right? How on earth does a machine learn to be creative? Let's pop the hood and take a look inside.
So at its heart, the process is surprisingly simple. It's all about one thing: predicting what comes next. A large language model, or LLM, is basically a giant pattern-matching machine. You feed it a library's worth of text, pretty much the whole internet, and it just learns the probability of which word is most likely to follow another. So you type peanut butter and it knows from seeing it billions of times that jelly is a super likely next word. Now, just imagine that simple act of prediction, but scaled up to an absolutely astronomical degree. That's how you get whole sentences, paragraphs, and even entire books.
And this field has been moving at a jaw-dropping speed. The real game changer was back in 2017 with a paper that introduced something called the transformer architecture. This let models pay attention to the context of a whole sentence at once, which was a massive breakthrough. That one paper paved the way for giants like GPT-3 in 2020, and by 2022, we had totally new techniques, like diffusion models, that gave us the stunning photorealistic images that are everywhere today.
But here's where it gets really weird. It's not just repeating patterns it's already memorized. Recent research from MIT found something called in-context learning. Get this, it seems like these giant models can actually create and train a smaller, temporary version of themselves on the fly, just using the examples you give it in a single prompt. So it's like it's learning a brand new skill right there in the moment without its core programming ever changing. This is a huge reason why these things seem to learn so incredibly fast.
So this isn't just theory anymore. This tech is being used in the workplace right now. And for the first time, we're getting some hard data on the real-world impact. A landmark study looked at over 5,000 customer support agents. And what they found was wild. When agents got access to an AI assistant that could suggest answers in real time, their productivity, measured by how many problems they solved per hour, shot up by an average of 14%.
But that 14%, that's just the average. The real story is in the details, because for the newest, least experienced agents, their productivity jumped by a massive 34%. The technology wasn't making the experts superhuman. It was making the beginners good, fast.
So how does this actually work? Well, the AI isn't replacing the agent. Think of it more like a coach sitting on their shoulder. It's learned from millions of past conversations, so it knows what the best, most empathetic responses from the top-performing agents sound like. It basically captures that hard-to-teach know-how and whispers it to the new person right when they need it.
And you can see it plain as day in this chart. The biggest boost by far went to the low-skilled workers.
For the most experienced, high-skill agents, the impact was almost zero. And why is that? Because the AI learned its best tricks from them in the first place. This really suggests the tool is a massive skill gap closer, not a replacement for true expertise.
You know, we've seen this kind of story before. The drum machine didn't kill the drummer. It gave birth to whole new genres like hip-hop. The graphing calculator didn't stop kids from learning math. It let them tackle way harder problems. It's a tool that doesn't just replace the person, it changes the work itself.
And this is the critical takeaway. The impact we saw in that call center, it's happening everywhere. In marketing, it's spitting out blog posts and ad copy. In software, tools like GitHub Copilot act like a coding partner that never gets tired. It's the engine behind those smarter chatbots you're starting to talk to. It's even helping big companies make sense of their own internal data, like a superpowered search engine that can actually write reports for you.
So, the potential here is obviously enormous, but let's be honest, so are the risks. To really understand what's coming, we have to look at both sides of the coin, the incredible promise and the very real peril.
And this brings us to one of the biggest, weirdest problems. Because these models are just predicting the next word. They have zero concept of truth. They can write something that sounds perfectly convincing, totally authoritative, and be completely wrong. They call this hallucinations, and it's a massive hurdle to using this tech for anything that requires fact.
And that's just for starters. There's the fact that these models are trained on the internet, warts and all, so they can easily pick up and even amplify our worst biases. Then you have the huge, messy legal questions about who owns AI-generated art or text. And of course, while our example showed AI helping workers, the fear of job displacement in other fields is very, very real.
So ultimately, this brings us to the core dilemma, the tightrope we're all walking now. We've seen this incredible power to capture and share the best of human skills, to lift people up. The challenge for all of us then is this. How do we grab all of that promise without also unleashing the peril? How do we build these tools to amplify our best qualities without also amplifying our worst flaws?